Hey guys, so yeah, I'm kind of broken after this chapter because yeah, we get the reveal of who the real traitor or traitors are in this chapter, which is revealed to be Aoyama and his parents. Which honestly, I'm really conflicted about this, and not necessarily about the reveal itself, but how the reveal was handled, because on one hand, I'm getting a little frustrated with the general execution of how Horikoshi decided to handle this reveal, and kind of just generally a lot of other times he's done something very similar like this, because it feels a little bit like the surprise villain trope Disney uses a lot, but on the other hand, it still is better than how Disney handles the surprise villain tropes, because in context, with the context presented in this chapter, and combine it with all the previous ones we have gotten with Aoyama, and especially that moment where he and Izuku had their first real conversation, this does make ludicrous more sense than it was Hagakure, if Hagakure was actually the spy. But even more than that, despite being the spy, I also love just how much you legitimately sympathize with Aoyama and his situation, because you can see that neither he nor his family wanted this, because as it's revealed to us that Aoyama as a child was quirkless until the point that All for One gave him his quirk at the request of his parents, which also put all three, which inevitably put all three of them under his thumb. And I love how it's just through these little tiny little bits of information that we see that Aoyama's life truly is a dark mirrored reflection of Izuku's. As both were quirkless and both felt like they had no purpose in life, knowing that they couldn't make their dream a reality. But whereas Izuku had been given the chance to walk in All Might's radiant light and know what it's like to be a hero, Aoyama was pretty much doomed to cower under All for One's dark shadow as his spy. And again, you really sympathize with him because Aoyama didn't even have any truly grand aspirations in wanting to become a hero, other than, like, he wanted to be a hero, but he wanted to be a hero just for the simple reason that he wanted to protect his family. And all his parents wanted was to make their son happy. Like, they pretty much truly are victims of consequence and circumstance, and inevitably, Aoyama just and inevitably during all the moments he spent at UAE, Aoyama just didn't actually felt like he was one of them. He wasn't just playing it up as like he's doing this to serve All for One. He generally is, I think, in some degrees loyal to UA and to the heroes, to his friends, all that. And I think that's also what just makes it more. I think that, and weirdly enough, that this also puts another aspect to Aoyama's personality in a new light, which is how much he cowers and how much he was always fearful. Like, in context, it was a little bit of a, it was, we all saw it as just a personality quirk, but when you see how terrified how, like, I guess comically terrified he all was during those moments, like, it does show that part of it is that it came from the fear of fearing All for One, I think. Now, with that said, there's still a lot of questions that all three of them need to answer, because while it's too late to do anything about the past, they do need to answer just how much does All for One know now, and just what kind of information Aoyama has been feeding All for One about the current situation. Because if we don't find out exactly what All for One knows, then whatever plans and preparations UA, the heroes in general are planning, it is going to blow up in everyone's faces, worse than it did during the hideout raid, but with an even worse outcome than just All Might losing the remainder of his power this time. Like, if they don't nail down the information that All for One knows, like, fast enough, then this will become an even more of an absolute shit fest than the whole situation already is. And not even just Hero Society, but society as a whole truly will be finished. And even though it's probably too late to prevent the bulk of All for One's plan, at the very least, getting this insight on what information he's gotten from basically Aoyama's spying for All for One, will, at the very least, at bare minimum, reduce the possible fatalities and overall incoming threat of of whatever worst case scenario All for One has cooked up. With that said, I also like how we do get insight into just how much Todoroki and Bakugo have learned, and I love Todoroki's development the best because it shows how much he never truly underestimated his son's foresight at being prepared to face Toya again, and like with just the reveal that Shoto has been truly practicing at balancing how much he controls both of his left and right side in order to make it harder, in order for Toya to completely decimate him again. Like that is a very smart move. And again, even though I am a little iffy on the execution of the fake out with the reveal of the traitor, I definitely love the build up to that moment in this chapter, with just getting all the moments with Class A and just building up to just everything that everyone has kind of brought to the table of what they know about All for One and kind of all that shit. But even just a little moment, kind of just completely separate from that, of Vita reprimanding Izuku for saying when he said he alone needs, he made it out to seem like he needs to rejoin the search, was just wholesome, like just keeping him in check. Getting back to Izuku confronting Aoyama though, I'll be really curious just what Izuku will ultimately choose to do and how this confrontation is going to go down, because even though he has betrayed everyone, Izuku is the one person I think Aoyama just cannot bring himself to fight or engage with in combat in any which way. And if he does engage Izuku, it will be out of just pure desperation in order to protect his family. And I think Izuku right now kind of finds himself in just a similar shock and awe situation. Like he doesn't want to believe what he's hearing, and he probably doesn't even see Aoyama as a villain even now after he claimed himself to be. But at the same time, Izuku, I think, also realizes these are things he can't ignore. Like if Izuku truly has changed to the point where he's willing to do anything to stop All for One now, then he has to bring them in, even if he has to bring all three of them in, even if by force, since whether by intention or not, Aoyama and his family do know things that could save society at this point from plunging deeper into All for One's grip than it already has. There's not really much else. Like there's really not much else Izuku can do. He needs to gain information from Aoyama at this point. And yeah, I'll just be curious overall to see like how this whole confrontation plays out, because the two of them are basically just mirror reflections of each other. One is stood in the light, the other stood in the darkness, and I'll just be really curious. Live both similar lives, but one's lived in the light, one's in the darkness, and I'll be really curious how just living these dual lives is gonna affect this confrontation. So yeah, that's all I've got for this one, guys. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Analyst Control. Be sure to hit the notification bell, the subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight Vinay, signing off. Later, everyone.